Welcome, Christopher, here at the Business Growth Support Stage. Happy to have you here. Please
Yes.
introduce yourself.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here. My name is Christopher. I have been an entrepreneur pretty much my entire career, originally from Switzerland. I now split my time between Switzerland and Mallorca. I've been building companies in the tech sector and in the venture capital space for the better part of the last 15 years. Very briefly, I started my career with a venture builder. And so we built companies from 0 to 1, taking tech companies to market. We built over 56 companies in 5 years, infusing an exponential organizations methodology from Singularity University and our partners, Staley and the rest of the crew there. And then I built a $250 million seed Series A venture fund based in Miami to invest in what we called technology in emerging cities in the United States. So with the exception of San Francisco and New York, we were looking at all of the other cities that investors were not focused on at the time, as well as Latin America. And then I built my first company in food and beverage with some of the founders of Beats by Dre in Colorado. It was actually a popcorn company. We built a next generation popcorn company. So if you think about the Nespresso or the Keurig, coffee, we built the same thing for popcorn. So the first pod-based popcorn machine in the world, as well as a ton of innovation in how we deliver flavor in food. And we filed over 7 patents and had an incredible ride with some amazing influencers and investors to build a next generation consumer. And then I launched SuperNova, which is my business today. And SuperNova is an exited founder network, over 5,000 exited founders that have come together to support other growth stage businesses. So we started the business by just pairing exited founders with seed and Series A businesses that were looking to scale. And we quickly realized that they were filling so many gaps that were not previously being filled, not only as advisors, but as interim talent, fractional talent, and in some cases even placing full-time talent of exited founders that wanted to be back in the game, that didn't necessarily want to start a new business. And we were supporting businesses primarily in the health and wellness, fintech, sustainability, and CPG spaces. And now we've broadened our horizons around that a little bit. So we've worked with over 35 companies in the last 3 years. We recently just launched our first venture fund to invest, true, cash on cash into these growth stage companies that are all backed by the exited founders, because we've seen such a great success. Can highlight a couple of the companies, maybe fun ones to highlight. The first one actually that we backed is a company called Colossal. Colossal is on a project to bring back extinct animals from extinction, essentially. It was founded by Ben Lamb, who's a serial entrepreneur, and George Church, who's the world's probably most famous anti-aging scientist. And they acquired a number of extinct DNA from various different sources. And they have now figured out a way to essentially engineer the rebirth of animals that have been extinct. And so we supported them just getting off the ground and helping them with their angel round, their seed round, and some of their strategy and getting to market. 3 years ago, they started the company, and today they're worth a little over $10 billion.
So you're like really a serial entrepreneur, from the popcorn king to animals which are extended.
Definitely have been in the space for a long time and have stood on the shoulders of many giants over the years. And one of the biggest things for us has always been, it takes a village to build any of these businesses, whether it's popcorn or whether it, building a venture builder that builds other businesses or building an investment fund. It takes a village. Being a solo entrepreneur is probably one of the hardest things in the world. I would never advise it. But the one thing that we saw with Colossal is that when so many people come together with a shared vision and a shared mission that's driven by impact, that outweighs any lack of expertise that the team might have in terms of getting to the next level in the next stage of the business. And the same with popcorn. Popcorn was it started as more of a fun idea, and then it turned into, we raised $15 million before we even went to market to build through innovation in that space and driven by a passion of delivering a superior consumer experience.
You have so much experience with growth and growing startups. What would be your advice? You just mentioned being a solo entrepreneur is not the smartest thing. So what is your advice to grow a company in the space where you are in?
We could talk about this for hours, but I think a couple of quick insights. Number one is, if you're a founder, resilient. The resilience is the most important quality, I think, in most founders. It's just the ability of keep going every single day and learning, failing quickly, learning by doing. You don't need to be an expert in the space to build a great company in it. We have so many perfect examples of that, especially of the biggest 20, 30 companies that have built in the last 25 years. A lot of them were not experts in their fields, but they became experts and they surrounded themselves with incredible experts. And so resilience is the number one thing that we typically look for in founders, because if they have that and they're coachable, then everything else can be taught or acquired or learned or absorbed, or failed and then succeeded upon. I think that's the one thing. The second thing is you're picking a team that is smarter than you in the areas that you might fall short in, right? And so while that might sound very like an obvious statement, the reality is that it's very important for founders to quickly know where their gaps are, and to build trust in team members around them that can really lead those areas, because it does take a village. Nothing is accomplished. No big business is built in a small team of 5 people.
That's very well said and very valuable advices you're giving here to the audience.
Yeah.